Hello, Legal over here, and we're back today on F1 2021. And today we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison of a hot lap from F1 2020 and a hot lap from F1 2021 at 5 different tracks, just so that we can point out the big differences between the two and get a general idea of what's changed. And if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, but let's get straight into the video. Alright, so we're going to start off at Silverstone. We've got F1 2020 on the left and 2021 on the right. And this is probably one of the tracks where the difference between the two cars was probably the most. Through these low speed corners like turns 3 and turn 4, it wasn't too different between the two. You can see it's still pretty even between the two cars, because low speed wasn't where most of the effect of the reduced downforce took place. It was mostly at medium speed and high speed. Like this long right-hander, the 2020 car is going to gain a lot of time. And then, of course, Copse Corner, Maggots and Beckett's, so all of those types of corners, the F1 2020 car is going to gain so much time. You can already see that the 2020 car is gaining time, and it's going to be very obvious through Maggots and Beckett's, because the 2021 car was just so understeery at high speed because of that reduced downforce, and it really makes it a lot harder to drive those high speed corners. So it is definitely a challenge now. Some of these corners that you didn't even have to think about on the 2020 game are really difficult on the 21 game, and you can see the gap that the 2020 car has pulled on the 2021 car. In fact, the lap from the 2020 car was a 24.3, and the 2021 car is a full second slower than that, so that's quite crazy. But next up we have Belgium. We're going through turn 1 right now, and exiting turn 1, the 2021 car, interestingly enough, is actually ahead of the 2020 car, just slightly. Through Rouge and Radion, it is still easy flat in the 2021 car, but one big thing is that it's incredibly bumpy there now, so it actually makes it quite difficult because of how bumpy it is. For late com, you have to be quite careful with these curbs now on the 21 game, and because they can easily spin you out now because of that new floor downforce, which takes effect depending on how much curbs you take and stuff like that. You can lose grip and downforce. But heading through No Name Corner, it's actually quite even. Belgium is actually, interestingly enough, one of the tracks where the two cars were quite even. Through Pouan, the 2020 car is going to gain so much time, and through this medium speed-ish S section, the 2020 car is just going to be gaining time. But you can see the gap between the two is not that huge, and as we exit onto this straight here, you can see the two cars are pretty even, and so the deficit of pace from the 2021 car is not actually that bad on a track like Spa. And as we head out of Longchamp into the final bus stop chicane, it's going to still be pretty even here because this is low speed, and on the exit it's still pretty even, as you can see, and it's going to be close up to the line, and the difference is only 0.2 of a second. The 2020 car did a 0.6, 41.6, and the 21 car did a 0.8, so very close. Another track where it was actually quite close is this one right here that we're seeing right now, Baku, Azerbaijan. So this track doesn't have very many high speed corners, it's mostly just 90-degree corners and chicanes, so the pace deficit really wasn't that big between the two. And in fact, I think with a little more time and practice with the 2021 car, I can definitely actually be faster around this track in the 2021 car than in the 2020 car, which is quite interesting. And it's mainly because the lack of downforce compared to the 2020 car doesn't really take effect through these low speed corners. And through this left-right sequence though, there was quite a bit of understeer. But with the 2021 car, you can really get on the throttle very early, and you can get on so early that if you tried that in the 2020 car, you might have spun out. But on the 2021 car, it's very good on the exits of corners and getting on traction. So that's probably one of the main advantages that the 2021 car has on the 2020 car. This S section is still easy flat in the new game, but you can see it's quite even up to the line, and the 2020 time is going to be a 0.6, and the 2021 time is actually going to be only 0.2 off of that, as you can see right here. So with a little more time in practice, I can actually definitely be faster with the 2021 car around Baku, which is quite interesting. But now we're back at a track where the pace deficit is actually quite big, and that's Bahrain. The times between the two were actually a second off in the 2021 car. So you're going to spot the difference immediately through this middle sector bit. Already at turn 4 you can see how much time the 2020 car has gained, and especially through this S section, the 2021 car just understeered. It's just a main characteristic that I've noticed from the 2021 car is that there's a massive understeer at high speed corners from that lack of downforce, and it really makes those high speed corners a challenge, as I said. But in turn, those low speed corners are actually a lot better. They feel a lot better on the 2020 car. It seems like, or the 2021 car, it seems like they're quite even at low speed, but at high speed it's an absolute night and day difference. And you can see out of this corner we got understeer on the 2021 lap, and the final corner, not much has changed at this corner, but you can just see the gap that the 2020 car has pulled, and it's just because of mainly that middle sector. Absolute understeer at those high speed corners. You can see the time between the two is literally more than a second's gap. But we're here at Spain now, and for Spain there's actually been a few track changes. I think there's been track changes for multiple tracks, but at Spain, that turn 1 turn 2 chicane, you have to be very careful on the curbs now. Turn 3, it's very difficult to stay close to the inside on the 2021 car now. And turn 4, it very much understeery, like I've mentioned on previous laps. Turn 5, not too much of a difference. And then turn 6 and 7, you can just see the 2020 car is just so much better through those high speed corners. And turn 9 especially, it's just a night and day difference between the two. You have to be very careful on those curbs now with turn 9 on the 2021 game. And then through the third sector, that little left-hander that goes uphill, easy flat on the 2020 game, but you actually have to lift off in the 2021 car. And then the final chicane as well, you have to be very careful with these curbs now. And you can just see the gap that the 2020 car has pulled again. It's just a huge difference around some tracks, but around other tracks it's actually quite even here. So we took a look at 5 laps side-by-side comparisons between the 2020 game and the 2021 game, and there's a few main differences that we can point out, the first of which being high-speed corners. The 2020 car is so much better through high-speed corners, and the reduction in downforce for the 2021 car really proves to be a challenge and just causes a lot of understeer for the 2021 car in those high-speed corners, and it just makes those high-speed corners a lot more difficult. Obviously, with a bit more setup work, that issue could be helped, but it won't be completely resolved. And there's always going to be that element of understeer through those high-speed corners. And another big difference was on corner exits. The 2021 car is actually much better on corner exits. For whatever reason, you can get on the throttle so much earlier in the 2021 car. If you tried to get on throttle that early in the 2020 car, you would just spin out, which I found quite interesting. And then another thing is the new floor downforce element in the 2021 game means that some of the curbs that you could easily take on the 2020 game are curbs that you will have to be quite careful with or totally avoid even on the 2021 game. So I think that makes it a bit more realistic, which is good. But those are the main differences that I noticed between the two cars. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, as I post F1 content 3 times per week, Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. But guys, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.